Then we have 3 speakers from outside of West Africa. The first is Mr. Ivan Meister, advisor of Dutch Development Bank, FMO, the Netherlands. Ivan has over 20 years of experience in investing in emerging markets. This includes agriculture, forest, and climate. He advises investors and companies that want to invest or expand to emerging markets. He currently co-manages the DFCD, Dutch Fund for Climate and Development, and he sits on the board of 2 African companies.
Thanks for having me here today. My name is Ivan Meister. I have a background in emerging markets finance. I have over 20 years of experience investing in mainly Asia, Africa, and a little bit of Latin America. And I currently help investors or companies that want to move into emerging markets. So this is not just forestry and agriculture and climate. It's a bit broader than that, but there is a lot of climate-related investments in there. And I currently help FMO with the management of one of their funds. And it doesn't go to the next slide. No, it does go to the next slide. So I currently help FMO. FMO is a Dutch development bank. They have over 10 billion euros of assets under management. And the majority of these 10 billion euros, about 9.5, it's a bit more nowadays, is from their own balance sheet. But besides that, they also manage funds for third parties. And one of those funds I co-manage. So I will go into that. But first, maybe a little bit of background on FMO. So the Dutch Development Bank head office is in The Hague. We have offices in South Africa, Nairobi, and Singapore. Unfortunately, no office yet in West Africa. FMO only opened local offices very recently because we always felt that we should work with partners, not necessarily have a lot of added value on the ground. About 35 to 40% of the investments is in Africa, and 25 to 30% is in Asia, and the rest is spread over central. Let's call it Central Asia, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Latin America. We currently focus a lot on least developed countries, which are very well present in West Africa as well. So I co-manage the Dutch Fund for Climate and Development. It's so just for the record, for the people listening, this presentation is not too much about bamboo, but more about climate finance and blended finance, which could be very beneficial for the bamboo sector as well. So the Dutch Fund for Climate and Development, it's a 160 million euro fund that invests in anything that's climate related. And we have a strong focus on adaptation. We can do mitigation as well, but we have a minimum target of 50% with a focus target of 65% of adaptation projects. The cool thing about this fund is that it's blended. It has 2 levels. I'll show that in the next slide as well. Which means that part of it is a grant, and part of it is really investment. What FMO is working on. I will explain that in a bit more detail later on. The grants we can give, so for projects that we feel that could potentially be very interesting to invest in the future, we can give a grant from 100,000 to 350,000 euros, and on top we can give some TA support. And this way we hope that projects that are potentially interesting will move into a phase where we could invest in it ourselves. Here it says 1 to 10 million, but to be honest, it's a bit more 5 to 10 million normally. If it's between 1 and 5, we will try to find a way to make it still work. And we really have a landscape approach. I will come back to that as well later on. So here, this shows a little bit what we invest in. So it's forestry, like plantations and protection. It's food, mainly anything that has to do with smallholder farmers and the protection of their livelihoods against climate change and helping them to work in their ecosystems. we try to build up crucial landscapes like mangroves and peatland areas or protect them. We invest in sanitation, so anything like solid and sewage. Water related, for both for agri, potable water, bulk water distribution, etc., and oceans and ecosystem. So it's also marine protection, and so here there's a small overlap. For example, with mangroves, we always have this discussion: should it be under the water facility or the land use facility? So the fund exists of two levels, as I explained before. So on the bottom you have the origination, where we really help projects and potential investments to bring to an interesting level for an investor. And then we have the investment level, and the investment level is split in land and water. This is only interesting because it's managed by two different parties, which I will explain later on. The next slide I will show a little bit more on what we try to do with the fund. So what you often see is that plans and projects are helped by parties like NGOs. There's maybe some help in making a feasibility study, but then you reach a moment that you need to make additional costs to make it interesting. And this is what we often, or what the financial world often calls the valley of death, because there's not that many investors or parties that are willing to invest there. So what we are trying to do with the fund, it's also play with words, but it's to make it a valley of opportunity. So when you reach this project where normally it would sort of strand because there's nobody that wants to put money in it, with the origination facility, which is a grant, we try to at least bring it to a level that the water or the land use facility also can invest in it. And hopefully afterwards there's other private investors or DFIs that can invest in it. But not all projects that go into the origination facility will in the end be financed by the water and land use facility. So it's also a funnel, right? So not all projects will become interesting or financially sustainable, because that should be clear. We can take a higher risk, but in the end, we are we're not like pure profit driven, but we are a profitable institution. So we need to see opportunity to make at least our money back, but in an ideal world, also a profit on an investment. And we don't manage this cool fund alone. I mean, FMO is end responsible, but it's a cooperation with WWF and S&P, which are, I think, relatively well-known NGOs or development organizations. So they really manage the origination, so they can really help projects with their knowledge. They have a lot of local offices and local expertise. And then if the investment committee thinks it's sufficiently interesting after an origination process, then FMO or climate fund managers can invest in this. So FMO manages the land use facility and climate fund managers the water facility. And the cool thing about climate fund managers is the Dutch Fund for Climate Development is already blended in itself, because we have soft money where we can give grants and investment if it reaches a certain point. But 75 million of the 160 million went into a fund that the climate fund manager manages, and they made from the 75 million, they made a fund of 800 million, also attracting private capital, private and commercial capital, by a structure in which we take a higher risk. So we put the fund in different layers, in which there's partly first loss and a level in between first loss and, let's call it, high risk level. And then there's the private investors who take less risk. They will get slightly lower return if all goes well, but they have much lower risk. So I think it's a great example of how to attract a lot of private capital to go into climate finance. And then maybe an example of the land use of the landscape. So what we do in, for example, the Kafue flats in Zambia, we really have a holistic approach of the region. So we don't try to do one investment there, we really try to see what a region needs and go in there from different angles. So this is an example where we do cattle farming, restore national park, fish processing plant, water system, and irrigation. Then this is where we, so within the, I think FMO itself has over 900 investments, but within the Dutch Fund for Climate and Development, which is quite a recent fund from 2019, we have done 28 climate projects already. In West Africa, we have not done bamboo yet. We have done a forestry project and a fecal sludge and waste management project. We have done a bamboo project in Indonesia, where we work a lot with outgrowers. So it's only a small nucleus plant plantation and a huge area of outgrowers, which we guarantee them the offtake of their bamboo. And then the company itself has a processing plant where they again process the bamboo into different products. And there's also a guaranteed offtake, so a minimum offtake from a large European party that takes the end product. And in Africa, we are working currently on, it's a bit confidential still because it is not approved. In Ethiopia, we're working on our first bamboo project in Africa. And there we also are going through teething problems. For me, it's a bit of, we've been working in the area for 2 years, and apparently the first tests, the machinery was not strong enough for African bamboo. So they're going through that process. And that was about it. Let's we can go to or back to Marigold or go to any questions later. But thanks, I really appreciate for having me here today, even though I'm not that experienced in bamboo yet, but I appreciate for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan, for the introduction of the green financing and the status of your bank.
Then we have Mr. Yufei Mei, Vice President of Zhejiang Anji Rural Commercial Bank in China. He has worked in a bank since graduating from the Zhejiang Bank School in 1995, with nearly 30 years of banking and management experience. He is responsible for the strategic planning of the bank, as well as the reform and innovation of green finance section. Mr. Mei informed us yesterday that he has a very urgent and important mission in Beijing, so that he could not be presented today. And his colleague, Mr. Feng Shu Liang, will present for him.
Okay, can you guys hear me right now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
No, you can call me Alex. And so, hello everybody. It's a pity that our Vice President, Mr. Mei, is currently on a business trip. So me and my colleague will fully represent Anji Rural Commercial Bank for this meeting. So, let's get started. Distinguished experts, good afternoon. It's our great honor to have been invited into the online seminar by International Network for Bamboo and Rattan. So as the global climate change has been one of the greatest challenges of human development, China, a responsible nation, has dedicated to build a fair and reasonable, cooperative and win-win system for global climate governance. In the year of 2020, President Xi Jinping delivered an important speech at the general debate of the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Humankind should launch a green revolution and move faster to create a green way of development and life. China will scale up its intended nationally determined contributions by adopting more vigorous policies and measures. We aim to have carbon emissions peak before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality before 2060. Finance is the core of modern economy, and green finance is the essential component of modern financial system. In the future, with the continuous promotion and implementation of China's dual carbon target, green finance will become the main tool for China to respond to climate change and support the dual carbon target. As being the birthplace of concept that the lucid waters and the large mountains are invaluable assets, Anji has always been in the forefront of ecological civilization throughout the development of its traditional bamboo industry and rural finance. Obviously, finance and industry can be complementary to each other, based on their connection as well as significance to the development of green finance. Three aspects will then be covered. Aspect 1, the challenges in development and transformation in upgrading of Anji bamboo industry. Anji, known as the hometown of bamboo in China, has a forest area of 2.07 million mu, including 1.08 million mu of bamboo forest area. It ranks first in China in 5 indexes: bamboo quantity, annual output of commercial bamboo, annual output value of bamboo industry, annual export of bamboo products, and the comprehensive economic strength of bamboo industry. There is a saying that China is worldwide famous for its bamboo and Anji is nationwide famous for it. However, the journey to this fame was full of challenges. 3 detailed phases of the bamboo industry will be clarified. Phase 1, in 1950s, selling bamboo raw materials was the main way of business in Anji. In 1980s, bamboo processing industry began to develop and machine-made mat industry began to rise. In 1988, the number of bamboo processing enterprises reached 138 with more than 10 million yuan output value. However, due to its limitation, it was tough to continue the rough machine of bamboo industry, and the farmers were under the dilemma of the difficulty of making money from bamboo mountain. Phase 2 at the beginning of 1990s. Since Anji imported a large number of mat technology and equipment, bamboo processing has achieved a rapid transformation from handicraft to machine manufacturing. Xiaoheng, a town in Anji, owns more than 2,000 bamboo companies with 200 registered trademarks of bamboo products and 1,000 patented technologies. Phase 3, driven by the rise of tourism and beautiful countryside construction, Anji's bamboo industry has achieved a leap from agricultural production and processing to comprehensive utilization of ecological resources. In recent years, the emergence and high-quality development of new formats such as bamboo forest and experience, bamboo forest and healthcare, bamboo processing and tourism has made the economical growth of bamboo industry and promoted the integration of the first, second, and third industries. Aspect 2, financial support for the path choice and model evaluation of bamboo industry. The first one is the transformation from extensive to farm. Extensive industry development is accompanied by rural financial growth. At that time, Anji Rural Commercial Bank was early involved in the production and the processing of bamboo raw materials. From bamboo cultivation to raw materials purchasing and marketing to finish the product processing. Credit fund were continuously put into every section and every enterprise. By the end of 2000, it had accumulated a loan of 500 million yuan for the bamboo industry. However, with the decline of the traditional bamboo industry, we have to think about the operation of industrial development supported by finance. Definitely, the policy of supporting the bamboo industry cannot be changed. Meanwhile, we are supposed to make a decision on how to support and what kinds of subdivision industry to support. Therefore, we quit from high energy consumption, low output value of bamboo processing industry. About 528 companies with loans of 85 million yuan and invested 3 billion credit funds into the transformation and upgrading fields of bamboo industry. The second one is the transformation from singleness to pluralism. As the creator of the industry's people, our bank began to focus on the education of people, especially on how to increase the certification of labor force to engage in bamboo industry and how to adjust the financing gap. Since 2001, we worked on building the Face for Rainbow, a credit project that is based on the model of batch credit, wholesale loans, borrow and repay to grant farmers credit line up to 1 million yuan. It is supported with credit products such as agriculture and forestry loan, countryside and living loan, which will lower the threshold for farmers to get loans and alleviate the difficulty of financing and the guarantee for bamboo industry operators, and can activate the motivation in entrepreneurship. In the meanwhile, by the online platform, we advertise many kinds of bamboo products. We provide place and payment channels for bamboo products display, acquisition, transaction, logistics, and distribution in our 179 harvest stations. In this way, the financial support could increase the revenue and enrich the farmers. Throughout the whole procedure of past choicing and modern transforming, we constantly insist on 3 aspects. First, innovation is the driving force. We explored and innovated a series of loans projects such as the forest loan, chain loan, science and technology loan. Co-technology and product play a significant role in the process of granting credit to enterprises. For instance, Zhejiang Jizhu Biotechnology Company was granting a loan of 28 million yuan, mainly based on its bamboo political carbonization technology and emerging materials like bamboo activity carbon. Second, assessment is the guidance. Establish a target-oriented, text-focused, and effectiveness standardized special assessment mechanism for supporting bamboo industry. Third, service is fundamental. Dispatch backbone employees to administrative departments to coordinate and solve a series of problems in finance serving bamboo industry development. Organize account managers to go to the front line to publicize the financial policies of bamboo industry and to timely solve the problem existing in the credit application use. Aspect 3, green finance contributes to the strategical layout and the innovation demonstration of carbon neutrality. With the proposal of goal of carbon peak and carbon neutrality, focusing on rural revitalization and green development, our bank innovated and launched the Bamboo Forest Carbon Sink Pledge Loan project. It aimed at propelling the bamboo forest operators to combine the quality improving and the foreign exchange increasing with the revenue rising, so as to promote the monetization of bamboo forest ecological value and the formation of bamboo carbon industry. In 2021, China's first county-level bamboo carbon acquisition, storage, and trading platform that our bank participated was in service. Its closed-loop carbon stockpiling and transportation market laid a solid foundation for joining the CCER certification. The whole chain carbon sink stockpiling and transition process relies on the bamboo forest carbon sink trading platform. Bamboo carbon transition is realized by purchasing bamboo carbon from villages and all farmers, and selling it to enterprises based on the entire procedures in the production, sales, and the circulation of bamboo carbon. We innovated and launched 3 special credit products with 10 billion yuan for bamboo carbon, such as common prosperity loan for farmers and villages, and the enterprise loan for enterprises, reducing carbon emissions, and stockpiling loans for the Anji Liangshan Ecological Resource Assets Management Company. Those products are intended to promote the green innovation development of bamboo industry, achieve the value of ecological products, and explore a new path to common prosperity. Throughout the development of green finance in the bamboo industry, 3 pieces of enlightenment can be summarized. First, financial support is crucial. The transformation of bamboo industry and the target of dual carbon cannot be achieved without the service and the support from financial institutions. When financial resources are increasingly allocated into bamboo industry, it is necessary to support its scientific and technological innovation. Construction, technological equipment, transformation of enterprises, cultivative of new business entities, construction of leading enterprises and industrial parks so as to help the upgrading and transformation of bamboo industry. Second, multi-party cooperation is important. The overall development of bamboo industry be promoted through the joint efforts of the government, banks, and enterprises. The government established incentive mechanisms such as interest subsidy and risk compensation for bamboo industry to provide enterprises with a good business environment. Financial institutions provide enterprises with a full range of service through financial profit transfer and financial products invitation. Meanwhile, companies cooperate with institutions and universities to continuously improve their products. Third, the carbon sink market can make great achievements under the background of carbon peak and carbon neutrality as the most promising and innovative fields in green finance. Carbon finance will usher in a bright prospects and opportunities. The promotion of carbon sink trading be taken as an important part in green finance reform and development. Thereby, it is necessary to speed the transformation and upgrading of bamboo forest industry, promote the monetization of bamboo forest ecological value, and broaden the new paths of improving quality and increasing foreign exchange and income. The above is all my speech. Thank you.
I have to say that Anji has more than 3,000 years of experiences of managing bamboo forests, and bamboo pole production is traditionally the products of rural area of agriculture. So bamboo forest is a very important resource in the Anji rural economy development. So in the modern time, it is the bamboo industrialization and commercialization is started from Anji, like China's industrialization process. The government of Anji, when doing landscape governance or doing planning for the rural development, so they have to include bamboo as a very important polar resource or sector for the rural area. So the bank has a very important mission in supporting the bamboo development in the area. So we could see that the bank has formed different products and in different stages of development of the bamboo industry in Anji County, and also they have innovation, and they have mentioned about like demonstration for the financing projects.
And the last speaker we have is Mr. Luc Bourgave. He is president of the American Bamboo Society, secretary of Belgian Bamboo Society. He is also the special advisor for bamboo sector development and regenerative horticulture of Nature Harriet. He has over 40 years of work experience in horticulture, agriculture, fishery inspection, and financial manager at various levels at the European Commission and North Atlantic Fishery Organization.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, Jinwei. Also, thank you everybody else for having me on this webinar as well. My name is Luc Boerhaave from Belgium, Europe. I have been involved with bamboo societies for a number of years, but first of all, I am familiar with bamboo since my very young age. The first bamboo I planted was when I was 16 years old. Unfortunately, it flowered later and it died, but some seedlings continued. My talk is about, first of all, bamboo in the world, especially bamboo societies and other networks. Secondly, I will talk a little bit about what's the bamboo in Europe now and the relationship with South Africa and what could Europe or do for West Africa and vice versa. I'm limiting myself mainly to the bamboo societies, although there are also many other networks, the World Bamboo Organization, for example, formal networks, informal. Nowadays with social media, we have all kinds of groups on Facebook, on WhatsApp. These groups of people who call themselves a bamboo society because of their interest and love for bamboo. I think they play they have played and still play an important role in connecting people with an interest in bamboo across countries and continents and spreading their knowledge about bamboo plants, bamboo species, networks, arts and crafts. And they also, let's say, initiate and encourage the use of bamboo and for all types of uses, from landscaping to bamboo plantation, preservation of native bamboo species. What I see is among the different bamboo societies, there are, depending on the country and their culture, differences are, for example, the West European bamboo societies are more interested in bamboo as a ornamental plant, while in countries like India or Colombia, for example, which have a large bamboo bamboo industry, people are more interested in the bamboo production, the commercial part of bamboo. As you can see, I give an overview here of the bamboo societies in the world. Here in Europe, we have Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, the Iberian Peninsula, so it's particularly in Spain, the Netherlands, and there are also a few which have become inactive, Switzerland. And then in the Americas, you have especially the American Bamboo Society, which has played a very important role, and also in creating and other networks and conferences. The Mexico Bamboo Society, which had recently a congress, Colombia, is also quite known, in Brazil. In Asia, the main bamboo growing countries like which have a long tradition in bamboo, like Japan, China, Taiwan, Philippines, Malaysia, Bhutan, India, Vietnam. In Africa, there are not so many, not really bamboo societies. There are a number of producers organizations, like in Uganda. Then also both Australia and New Zealand have a bamboo society. Now, when it comes to bamboo in the past and the present, as you are possibly aware of, there's no native bamboo growing in Europe. All bamboo are species which have been introduced during the last centuries. The first wave of introduction happened in the second half of the 19th century, a moment when there was a very high interest in all products and cultural artifacts from the East and the Southeast Asia. Not only botanic gardens imported or introduced new plants from Asia, and bamboos in particular, but also there were a number of nurseries and private collectors which were very active in the 19th century. Some of the better known are Bory Latour-Marliac and Eugène Marcel from France. Eugène Marcel is known for the Bamboozere en Cévennes or Bamboozere Provence, a bamboo park, which is very well known. And then in Belgium, we had also Jean Rouzeau-Belair, who was very active at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. He published some books and even published a newsletter during several years. Then at that time, there were some bamboo species which found their way into our parks and gardens, and some of the, let's say, main ones from that time are the Pseudosassia japonica, Sasspamata, Alleviation, Stars aurea. But then in the 20th century and the last quarter of the 20th century, there was another number of people became interested in bamboo, and this is coincident with the start of most of the bamboo societies as well. And there were a number of people went to China in particular to look for new species and to introduce them to Europe. And this is still continuing. Still up to the day, people are introducing bamboo species, mainly from East Asia. As you know, our climate is a temperate climate, and only species grown, let's say, higher up in the mountains towards the south of South America and Chile can survive in our climate. And there are a number of Gispeas species which have been introduced into Europe in recent 20-25 years. Bamboo industry in Europe is, well, first and foremost, the bamboo nurseries, which are growing and supplying bamboo plants for the landscaping market, both by division or tissue culture plants. There are some attempts in South Europe to establish a bamboo plantations to produce colorful combs or further processing, particularly in south of Portugal and Italy. This is all still, I would say, in the early phase. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with them. There's quite a big bamboo market or a market for bamboo production in Europe, but essentially based on imports from Asia and also some imports from South America, Colombia, for example, with guava poles. The value in 2019 of import in dollars, which is one of the main import markets for bamboo, and with the majority of the production coming from Asia, in particular China. It's 1/3 of the world trade in bamboo commodities. Also important in Europe is there's a lot of bamboo research at universities and institutions. Many of you know some, let's say, well-known professors or experts in bamboo, like Dr. Walter Liese from Germany, and then Mr. Janssen from Eindhoven in Holland, in the Netherlands, which was also an expert on a lot of research on bamboo. And there are still many people, even from overseas, from South America, from Asia, who are studying or doctorating at universities in Europe. See, this is a picture of a park. This is the entrance of the Jardin Remarkable garden of the Latour-Marliac nursery. Boris Latour-Marliac was one of the persons in the 19th centuries who introduced a lot of bamboo species. And that's also, we have quite a few parks and zoos, for example, where they use bamboo for landscaping, which is very attractive. The most famous, of course, being the Bamboozere de Provence in France. There's another one in Portugal, Bamboo Parque. A similar, let's say, bamboo park for ecological and tourist purposes is the Bamboo Paradise in Colombia, but in South America. Then there's another view of the garden of Latour-Marliac with bamboo in the background, but there are also other plants from overseas in here. And another interesting, beautiful bamboo garden, which attracts a lot of visitors during the summertime in the south of France, is the remarkable garden of the Plan Maison in Dordogne in the south of France. What about West Africa and its bamboo development in Europe? First of all, as has been said already by some people, and as I mentioned before, Europe is a very important bamboo import market. You see the value of 882 million in 2019. When you look at the imports in Africa, which represent something just above 40 million US dollar, then you see that there's a lot more to gain to try to get a piece of this market in Europe. And that's secondly, West Africa is very close to Europe. Its transport costs are, especially of voluminous products from East Asia to Europe. There are lots of, let's say, trade relations. There are lots of contacts. It should not be it's not too difficult to export to Europe from West Africa. And especially, I think, products like bamboo pellets or biofuel charcoal, construction grade poles, bamboo pulp and paper, that could be an interesting market in Europe for West African producers. Longer term, I would say more sophisticated bamboo products, or as they are also called, higher-end bamboo products like laminated bamboo pans, flooring, furniture, straw bamboo lumber, decking, etc., etc. That there is a potential big market in Europe. Much depends, of course, on the quality and the price competitiveness. Not only price competitiveness with producers from China, but also when you want to obtain a part of the timber market and provide timber substituting products, engineered bamboo products, then it's very important that your price is competitive more or less with timber. Some examples, large-scale bamboo plantations, there are already a few of them in Africa, and I think there's place for more. They could be partly financed if the companies get or obtain agreements with large companies for the carbon sequestration offset for the voluntary market in carbon sequestration. All the financing is available through, for example, the European Union has a lot of funds available through its global Europe Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument. In the current financing period, there's something like 29 billion euro available for the sub-Sahara Africa. I have to say that those funds are implemented through the partner countries because there's always agreements made with the funds, and the country itself decides on what to give its priority. Therefore, the importance of having bamboo a policy approach in the country and trying to convince the governments to include bamboo development in the development programs which are co-financed by, for example, the EU. All the funds are available through the European Investment Bank, although mostly they're loans, and but they are very they do a lot of blending, so that there might be, but and particularly for large projects, not for the small projects. Then there are a number of European countries, like the Netherlands, for example, which we have learned from Ivan, who also have or provide funding for development projects in African countries. And then the last thing is you have private organizations and companies who are also providing funds to green projects, sustainable development. One example, which is a bamboo project with a private company as a financial partner, the Bamboo Mass Benin, which is a small plantation of 450 hectares. The financing is mainly comes from a company in Belgium, which worked with local partners to establish work and creates a plantation, produce green energy, charcoal, and also in the long term will produce products for housing, etc. One bamboo species in Africa, native bamboo species in Africa, is the one you see here on the screen, which is the Bergbambus tessellata. It's a temporary bamboo in the Sekania National Park. And you don't find it often only in national parks because of overgrazing and overuse. It has become quite rare. Risk, yeah, everything carries a risk. One of the risk of bamboo is the gregarious flowering. You see it here in the Photostas bambusoides. End-to-end, bamboo is not only let's say all kind of production things. It's also art. It's also a heritage culture. Here's a piece of art which was in one of the bamboo art galleries in Paris a few years ago. The American Bamboo Society also organizes almost every year a bamboo art contest, which is open to everyone with a proposal for an art and participants contest. And that's about it for me. Thank you very much for your attention. Any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you for explaining about European bamboo development and the connection, potential connections with the West Africa bamboo sector. I think that's very interesting. And we see that you're interested in bamboo charcoal, and Marigold is mentioning about bamboo charcoal as the main product